Good evening, and I mean good evening for my time zone in Great Britain because it is somewhere between 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock when I sort of upload the videos because the Western audience is a lot better than the Eastern audience. It's been quite a while since I've made my videos a little bit personal, and by personal I mean just reflecting a little bit on my channel and how things have come so far. So far, the series is, we've only really had 3 episodes. Today is episode 4, obviously. Episode 2 blew up immensely, and I actually really do like that. That was quite a shock. However, episode 1, surprisingly, but then maybe I'm not a little bit surprised because I am late to the party of high drivers, didn't do quite well, so I will be advertising that frequently, just a bit. The last episode was a big, massive flop. The last time I had a flop was one of my Kickstart Eurostar episodes, and that was the High Tallow Beat Mix volume, one I reviewed. But then again, that was also understandable because it was more Tallow Disco than it was Eurobeat, so it defeats the object a little bit of reviewing Eurobeat to some extent. If anything, views, it doesn't really matter. As long as the content is out there and I'm out there to express myself, that's all that really matters. But no, we'll get started on episode 4. And while saying that, how I was late to the party with high drivers, I'm a little bit late to the party with this one. Today we are looking at Overtake, which is coming out this year. I wasn't just going to review this for the fact that it was new and it was a driving anime series that was just coming out and so forth. I am just reviewing this because it's Formula 1 racing from what I can remember. And if you've watched episode 1, and if you do know how I talked about the Instagram user the initial D MF Ghost, who is posting daily updates and of MF Ghost, when new volumes of the manga come out, when the English translations are coming out. He's also posting clips and reminders of Initial D, asking questions for like deep level discussions of stuff. Yes, he is also going to be reminded and obviously mentioned once again because he has posted about Overtake on his Instagram. Again, links down in the description as per usual. So this was going to be a little bit of a collab, but unfortunately I couldn't really figure out how to do this exactly, and he didn't really sort of want to review just a small trailer. If anything, he wanted to do like more or less like the show itself, because he said a trailer isn't so much to judge on when it comes to like TV shows or movies or something. But I mean, that's kind of an interesting way because sometimes trailers can either be false. They obviously have scenes that are in the trailer but don't actually happen in the movie, so false pretensions, or maybe they're just not like good enough, they don't set the hype, and then when you actually do watch the show just out of curiosity that there is a lot more intense hype, and you just watch the show from the first episode. So it's understandable from that point of view where he's coming from. But however, we don't have the anime and we are just doing trailers because, well, so far, some of the trailers have been decent, and some of them have been kind of downright silly, like last episode. But nevertheless, but I think once maybe Overtake does come out, we will try and do some form of collaboration. I can't promise that, but I feel like, we'll see what the future holds. But anyways, let's just move on to the synopsis. Freelancer photographer. More names I really can't pronounce, but I think I can just about pronounce the last name. Madoka is in the midst of a slump due to a certain reason. Okay, a certain reason could be any reason. There always has to be something with the main character that prompts them into racing. They don't just do racing because of racing. Actually, I think that's why I even like Initial D, because Initial D is a little bit different to how Takumi starts to get involved in racing. But here they just all seem to be a bit common. While working on the story, at the Fuji International Speedway. Okay, is he like a journalist? Okay, so that's something. He meets the high school F4 racer Haruka Hasashine, and he suddenly finds his heart for racing once again. Okay, so what we get so far is that he's in a bad place. So he goes to change his life. Meets up with his past and a particular someone from I don't know, no. I don't know if that person's from his past, but he's obviously this other character is in high school. And he finds his heart for racing once again. So was he once a racer? Did something happen, like an accident, as per usual, when it comes to most storylines? So he has an accident, he's put out of racing, and then he comes back into racing once he goes through a bad time. I'm getting lost in my own theory here right now. And all I can actually think about is Initial D. And there's something I really kind of want to theorize within Initial D, or not Initial D, but MF Ghost exclusively, but I'm not gonna do that for spoilers and obvious reasons. So we got a little assumption of backstory to the character within our synopsis, so that's actually quite a good way to start it off. Other synopsises has been nothing but like descriptions of the world it's set in, that's set in the future. It's more about like world building and scenery, backstory, not less a character backstory. So the fact that we're focusing on this character Madoka, quite a decent change up. But we can't analyze too much without watching the trailer. So let's just get right into it. Piano intro. That's quite nice. Classical music. Oh, the animation style is very quite not retro, but sort of like nostalgic 90s. Studio Ghibli sort of like time. And then of course it just cuts to cars. I don't know, I think one reason why I don't like F1 racing and all that is just because like the cars don't look very nice. Oh, the eyes are really nice though. Good music. So I feel like in the starting scene where you obviously see the cars and you see the cityscape, which was quite beautifully drawn out, no pun intended. And then you see the character, I'm assuming this is the main character, I don't know if it's the main character or if it's the high schooler, but you see the main character walking through and the piano's in the background and he looks kind of depressed. Is that like in relation to the synopsis of like he's in his dark area before he's like racing and then suddenly he's in a car drinking coffee or something? I don't know, it's just because it's in coffee mugs, it could be anything, I'm not even a coffee drinker myself, and he's with a girl. It kind of feels like she's there to try and get him back on his feet or some sort, or maybe it's like a past relationship that, because they looked like they were having fun, so it looked a little bit more light-hearted than heavy-hearted, that maybe it wasn't so much or she was trying to help him, maybe it was like a past relationship maybe he lost. Oh wait, what if it was a relationship and he lost her, which caused like maybe caused an accident within his racing, causing him to quit and be in a dark place for quite some time. Do you know, even if that's like really far off the grid, that even that storyline itself or that idea itself sounds pretty intense. Again, it's common, it's like almost any other storyline you would get for racing or relationships and romance and all that jargon, but it could be something. Let's hold on to that. And then obviously we cut to the racing stuff, and then we see him with the cars, F1s. What are they? They're not Ferraris, are they? They are Ferraris. No, that's a stupid question to be asking. If I've seen Cars 2 one too many times as a small spirit, that's awful. I apologise for that, car enthusiasts. And then it cuts back to a scene where I briefly talked over, where it was him and another character, again, in a dark setting, and they were talking. I glossed over that a little bit because I was talking about something else. So that's something as well, but quite in the dark as to what the trailer suggests compared to the synopsis. But I will try and find the other trailer that is posted on the Instagram, and if there's not, then that's the end of the video. Briefly looking at the Overtake post that was on the Initial D MF Ghost Instagram page, yeah, it was only a couple of seconds long, and it was almost exactly like the trailer I just watched, but without the doom gloomy parts of the piano intro that I obviously had in my trailer. So I'm not going to do myself the embarrassment and review a trailer again if it's just the same stuff but in a different sequence order. So that is that. What I didn't do actually so far yet is talk about the actual anime style itself. Yes, I did say it was quite nice when we did see the character. It's quite I guess, yeah, for the tone and the setting of that scene, it was quite pale in terms of its colouring. But it wasn't like made to look 3D. It was quite anime looking, and it wasn't just like much hideous shades and lighting that we see in that's just pick on Initial D Stage 4. You know when you got that sort of like that one singular white line on like Takami's hair or something like that, just to make it look shiny with like the light shining on it, and then you've got like dark lines and everything. It was just sort of like smooth blended shading and highlight, and it wasn't done erratically or too obvious and obnoxious, if anything. So the style was quite nice. And like I said, it was kind of like an maybe a little bit 90s, but obviously a lot cleaner than the 90s. Maybe not so much on the Studio Ghibli sort of side, but I know I did mention that because that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I'm thinking of, early animes. I don't think Studio Ghibli probably is the first, anime to come out, but that's just what I think back to. So that's that. But then when we come to like the brighter side of things, again, no pun intended, when you see the F1s on the racetrack, the bright sky and everything. So the cars are like, well, his car was like white or something, or if it was green, I can't even remember now. But again, it's not obnoxious shading or highlighting, it's quite all smooth and blends together. So I quite like that style, if anything. I don't know if it's like unique or if it's used across other, animes and stuff, but it's just a nice gentle touch of blending your layers together, sort of thing. So that's that. I don't think as well that the racing scenes are CGI animation based, unlike Initial D. I think they were sort of like drawn out in a way. Obviously they're not drawn out, but they're more like obviously animated. So I don't really know how you would put it, but I think you understand to some extent. But the racing scenes so far as we got were quite well done, if anything. And the eyes as well. The eyes were quite full on and very drawn you in to make eye contact with the character on screen. So that's also something, because sometimes eyes are, there's a very different range of eyes within anime. Though, before I round off this video, the plotline does sound quite intriguing, even if it's common with other shows alike. But I do like the fact that we got the character backstory instead of world building and setting landscape backstory designs. But I'm just not interested in Ferraris. I'm not interested in Formula One racing. I don't even like the sound that F1s make. I don't like the design, the look of them. Even though, like, from Cars 2, Francesco is like quite maybe a handsome little Italian car, but I'm not really gonna watch it. I just don't see the point in like formal legal racing as well. I'm more or less on the dangerous street side, illegal racing. Not that I encourage it, I do not encourage it, even if I find it really exhilarating and a turn on. But no, I don't encourage it. But it's just something about F1s I just don't like. Maybe I'll give it a shot for the plotline at least, but for the racing side, it's definitely a no-go for me. But it's something different. I don't think we've ever had Formula One racing so far, so it's something new to some extent as far as my knowledge goes. So yeah, that's just more or less round up the video with like, subscribe, share around. Shares have been quite big in numbers, surprisingly enough, and that's not just my handiwork. Share around, and I mean, for the general gist, just stick around for the content to come, because we've got one last episode of June, and then we've got July with four more episodes, so one big chaotic mess. And so far, a lot of you been enjoying it, and really thank you for sticking around, because my channel is nothing but shenanigans.